The WNBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with promo code at NBA SGPN. That's NBA SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code NBA SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Yes, sir. We are back with another edition of the WNBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. No me, no voice, no the guy. It's me, really Real, Villain Real. It's Terrell Furman Jr. here at your service. Dang, where the heck is my? Where? Oh, there it is. Couldn't find that for a second, man. However, only to be replaced by.
How about if you sweep it out?
What's the point? I can't do anything right.
You'll do fine.
Hey, pal. You just blowing from Stupid Town?
Yes, I did, for buying all into the Wings and them just completely no-showing multiple parts of that game. It's not even just one part. Fourth quarter for sure. That's the part that, if you're watching the game, you blatantly remember. But there was multiple times in that game where the Wings just completely no-showed. They could have put that game away, been up double digits, and kind of coasted to the end, and they chose not to. So the Sparks proved me wrong. They get a win in the month of July. Shout out to the Sparks. Shout out to the Sparks for getting a win. However, today, tough task ahead of them today. We'll talk about it. Scott Studio, Reichel, people. Scott, what's going on? Oh, whoa, wait.
Scotty, beat me up.
Surprise.
Yeah, doing okay. Unfortunately, though, same thing as you.
How about if you sweep it out?
What's the point? I can't do anything right.
You'll do fine.
Hey, pal. You just blowing from Stupid Town?
Yeah, so I also had the Wings, minus 2.5. I'll close at 4.5, so if you want to give us the CLV win, we'll take it. But that didn't work out. They led at half by 6. They led after 3 quarters, and then they once again no-showed a fourth quarter. We talked about the Wings offensively being really bad in the second half, but we thought they'd have enough to get by the Sparks, and then Enrique shot terribly again. McCowan did nothing, and my dog was actually from the same game. That one was more of a nail-biter. I had Billings, a double-double. And unfortunately, she got the rebounds. She had 8 points, and she had a mid-range jumper with like 40 seconds left, and she missed. So I think it hit the rim, hit the backboard, hit the rim again, and missed. So if she made that, we would have cashed it. But either way, point is, did end up going over. Not fun when you double down on a game and it didn't work out. But I know if you look around the other games that were on that card, I think we actually did okay. I know we both liked the Storm and the under in that one. You like the Storm more than I did.
That's what I was just about to mention. So we did good on, the card was straight. I said that I liked the Mercury if Brittany Griner played, and they came back and won the game on a crazy 3 from Kalia Copper, who had 34 in that game. We talked about, like you said, the Seattle. We thought Seattle was live in that game, and they went and won outright. The under came through. NECA had a double-double. It was so many. Aces team total under came through. It was so many spots we were right.
I like
we just
Indiana.
chose wrong with the Wings, man.
Indiana came through, so that worked out. Unfortunately, though, they barely led at halftime. So the Mystics halftime fever full time didn't work out because the Mystics trailed by 2 at the half. But point is, we had some good reads on the card. Unfortunately, we just thought the Sparks were going to lose, and that was kind of what sabotaged our actual picks at the end. But
100%.
Yeah, definitely okay. Then we did Adam's show with Outlier yesterday, and I know that we both like the under in that Liberty and Sun game, so that worked out well. If you missed out on that, then apologies, but we ended up doing some brief WNBA coverage on that one. Angel Reese, double-double machine. So that's been a solid prop if you've just been backing it for now. I think it's 3 straight games with a double-double, I think.
13,
but the games
13 this past one.
Yeah, I think the games were pretty solid yesterday. The Liberty, I thought, would end up beating the Sun, and they did. The Sun just can't figure that team out, man. It's been multiple
Yeah,
years.
I ended up Benedicting. If you go to the picks page, www.sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WNBA-picks, then you'll know that I ended up Benedicting and I went with the Liberty when I realized that it was their chance to clinch the Commissioner's Cup. I flip flopped, and they did.
I mean, for their section is what you mean.
Yeah, for the East, for their conference. Yeah. So for the Eastern Conference, the New York Liberty are Commissioner Cup Eastern Conference champions. Let's say that they're Commissioner Cup Eastern Conference champions. They will be playing at the end of the month for that $500,000, which means this game that we're about to talk about has no value to them except in just the regular win-loss column for the season. But the Washington Mystics are on the road going to play the New York Liberty. Liberty are laying 14.5. 157.5 is the total. Washington is an 8-1 underdog, still looking for their first win. And for this game, Shakira Austin is out. We have Brittany Sykes out. Courtney Vandersloot is a game time decision. She's been out recently with personal reasons. Hope everything is good with Sloot. Hope everything is all right. She just randomly had personal reasons, been out for a couple of games. So hope everything's good there. Dara Sabali is also out with that back injury. She's looking to come back soon. Yeah, Scott. Liberty on a back-to-back. Liberty also clinched the Commissioner's Cup. I mean, and they just gave, and let's not mention on that back-to-back yesterday, they just gave the Connecticut Sun their first loss of the season.
And as you said before, it was against the Sun, and that's a pretty, I don't know if it's a full rivalry, but those teams definitely have wars when they play against each other.
So. I mean, Jonquel jumped ship from the Sun to the Liberty. They've been going back and forth this past year. They played in the playoffs last year for a chance to go to the finals where the Liberty won. Like, this is a nice little rivalry. And oh yeah, it's no shot. We're taking the points. Come on. There's nothing to talk about here. This is a letdown. I don't care city about the Liberty for this game. They're going to win. I don't think they're going to lose. But 15 at the end of the game? No way. And then plus, have you seen what the Liberty looked like in that second quarter? Like, have you seen their previous second? Like, it's horrible. They'll have a lead in the first quarter, and it doesn't matter because they don't even show up in the second quarter. So, I mean, the Mystics' first half is an auto play here. I just mean this is a great spot for Mystics first half. Mystics coming off a little bit of rest, just got off of the Caitlin Clark game. There's nothing to play for the Liberty. They don't have any extra motivation to this. They already locked it up. It's not like they need a tiebreaker or anything. This is the Mystics just going out there playing free flowing basketball, and who knows? So yeah, I'm on the Mystics here. Plus 14.5. That first half play, that number is dang. What is that first half number?
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like 8.5 or 9.5. Probably 8.5. If I had to guess,
I would maybe 9. I feel like it would be maybe 8.5. Let me see here. Hold on. All right, there we go. First half for the Mystics. You're right, Scott. 8.5 minus 113 consensus. So yeah, give me Mystics plus 8.5 in the first half for sure. That's some mock territory.
Yeah, so I do want to ask you about this game, just one particular element of it. Since the Liberty ended up clinching the East, and we already know the Mystics are over, they've been competitive recently. They just can't win games. But I do have to ask you, do you think the Liberty benched some players in this game?
No.
You don't think so?
This is still no, because this still counts towards the end of the year total. No, if this was a game that didn't count, then maybe. But no, this game still counts. They still want to win. They have 2 losses on the season there, and you still got to catch Connecticut because you're still 1 back from Connecticut. You want to be leading at the end of the year. No, there's no shot that they rest anybody.
I was just wondering because I think you can make the argument that the Liberty could still beat this team if they were missing 1 or 2 players. So I was kind of wondering if they would try to manipulate rest for some of their star players.
No, absolutely not. The WNBA rosters aren't that deep enough to just be letting people sit and rest. Like, then you're taxing somebody else. You're making somebody else. Because if you sit a starter or 2, you still have multiple starters that are going to be playing majority of the minutes of the game. And they're probably going to have to pick up a bigger workload. Like, it's better for everybody to just play, honestly. So, and shout out to G Martinez. He said the Liberty don't play till next Saturday because this is the last of their Commissioner Cups game. We still have another week of Commissioner Cup games, and this is their 5th one. Every team only gets 5 games. So, yeah, they're off for the next week. They're going to play everybody. I just don't think the motivation is going to be there. And we've seen this Mystics team constantly lose by single digits, like make these close games and constantly lose. So yeah, no, I don't think that the Liberty sent anybody, but I don't think that really matters. I really don't think they're going to care about this game. It's 3:00 on a Sunday.
So one other point I do want to ask you, since the next game they play is on Saturday, can you have a look-ahead game to Saturday? Because they play the Aces on Saturday. Can you look ahead 6 days in advance? Or is that too far?
Too far.
What's the cutoff for look-ahead?
Too far.
I agree with you. I'm just wondering, what's the cutoff? 2 days? 2 days, maybe?
Yeah, 2 days. Yeah, 2 days. If you get anything more than, like, if it's only 1 day in between, yeah, I can see you looking ahead because you're already preparing. But 2 days, 3 days at that point, nah. Because you have a lot of work you can do. You play your team in front of you.
All right, we're going to agree on this game, though. I'll lean Mystics. I do think the Liberty are going to win. Let's put it this way. If the Liberty found a way to lose this game, I would not be totally shocked, but I don't expect the Liberty to be even close to 80% intensity in this game. Yesterday, they brought it because they needed to. It was against an arch rival in the Eastern Conference. It was a spot to clinch up a Commissioner's Cup title game appearance. They did. They're trying to defend their title in that. It is a massive letdown spot. So I do agree with you about the Mystics plus the points.
They've only covered this line in one of the last 5 meetings against the Mystics. This is including the playoffs. And they've not covered in 3 straight. They haven't covered in 2 times they met this year. First win was by 5. The second win was by 11.
And those games were close. Even the 11, they were only up.
No, they were no. In that fourth quarter, the Mystics had a lead. They had a lead. Yeah. The Mystics had a lead. Yeah, absolutely. They had a lead in that fourth quarter. We can't lay these points. That's locked. That's 15 is locked territory too. Locked territory too. You can't lay these points with the Liberty right now. You just can't. All right. Before we get to the next game on the slate, got to talk to you about Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals. You can create up to 8 picks in one Underdog entry, and they will double flex the entries as well. So you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. Make sure that you tap in because you can win up to 325 times the original amount that you put in. And I mean, we're going to drop a little underdog lineup at the end of the show. So make sure you tune in for that. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN. That's NBA SGPN for a special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code NBA SGPN. Here we go. Next game on the slate. We have the Phoenix Mercury on the road going to play the Dallas Wings. Wings catching 1.5 at home here. Open up at 3.5. It's down to 1.5. 164 is the total. Injury report for these 2 teams, and I see. So
we're still out from what I can tell.
And Jaylen Brown, game time decision. I see. But nothing for the Phoenix Mercury. Looks like they're going to send everybody back out there. Brittany Griner and Rebecca Allen were both. Well, I don't think no. Becca Allen was still on a minutes limit too. So both of them were on a minutes limit. Didn't matter. They got the win in a nail biter against the Minnesota Lynx. It was Mercury at home. Now they're on the road here. However, Scott, if you look at the Commissioner Cup standings, this game does mean a lot. So looking up. The West wide open. East locked up. West is still open. You have at the top of the Western Conference is the Seattle Storm, who are 2-0 in Commissioner's Cup play, but they still have 3 games to go. 2-1 are the Phoenix Mercury and the Minnesota Lynx, respectively. 1-1 are the Las Vegas Aces with 3 to go. Sparks 1-2. Wings 0-3. Wings are eliminated from Commissioner's Cup.
Okay, so what is the schedule, though? The Liberty have already played all 5 games, and we have teams that have played 2. Like, how has Seattle played 2 games, and the Liberty have played 5?
And they're they just have they got a short rest in the beginning. Well, a long rest in the beginning, and then a short rest in the end, because now they got to play 3 games in the next week while the Liberty are off all week. So, it works out. Like, everybody talks about the scheduling, but at the end of the day, you have a period from Commissioner's Cup. You have from June 1st to June 13th, that's when it's over. You're playing 5 games during that stretch. Everybody plays 5 games. So it's not like, somebody's getting a long rest and then not making up for it. If you have a rest in the beginning, you're going to have to play a lot in the end. If you have a rest in the end, you're going to have to play a lot in the beginning. Like, it kind of all plays out, if that makes sense. So big game here where Phoenix needs the win to keep themselves alive. 2 effectively makes this playing from behind, but a win keeps yourselves alive, wants you in the first place, and now you're just looking at Seattle, looking at Minnesota, looking at Vegas, and hoping that they kind of knock each other out, and you cruise up with 1 loss. So ultimately, a lot of play for Phoenix here. It's a lot of motivation for Phoenix here.
I mean, you could argue the
So
motivation for Dallas is we just lost to the Sparks and we suck. I mean, that's the motivation, I guess. But
yeah,
the Mercury have more to play for in theory. But they are on the road, and we know how that has gone for the last couple of years. But this Wings team, I don't think is that good. Not their fault; they're very injured. We can wait for them to get healthy, but I'm kind of torn here because the Wings after last game, just a bitter taste in my mouth. Like I don't know if I want to go back to them at this point. You?
I mean, it's
beat this
not that
team
I
by
don't
50.
want to go back to them. I just think the motivation for Phoenix is more. Like I think there's more. I think it's more inept for Phoenix to want to go win this game. One, you lost to his team earlier in the season. They went and beat you on your home floor. You have a full lineup this time where you have Brittany Griner back in the lineup. You have Beck Allen. So the 3-point shooting that we were talking about, it gets only better with Beck Allen on the floor. Now Sophie Cunningham is able to come back off the bench, and that gives you a spark off the bench. Natasha Cloud looked really, really good as a point guard with Brittany Griner in the lineup. She didn't look horrible. Like I didn't think she looked horrible. She just looked like somebody that hadn't played in the game all year yet. And they have the size now. Brittany Griner also adds another size element. Natasha Mack can go off to the bench, and then she can play with the second unit, and it makes things a little bit easier. I think I'm rolling with the Mercury here.
I am so on the fence for this game because I've been blind fading the Mercury on the road for like 3 years, and it's worked out well. As for the Wings, though, without Satu and without Natasha, I don't know where the offense comes from with this team because they have to rely on Enrique to shoot the ball like 25 plus times a game, and she's extremely inefficient. It is what it is. Like her field goal percentage is terrible, and you could argue the shot selection isn't great, but I just feel like I got to lean Mercury here. Even though they're not a great road team, Griner, you could argue that she was rusty. That's fine. Offensively, she still gave them something, and she can still intimidate people going for layups and shots in the paint. So even if she doesn't get the stats for it, I don't want to say it's a Gobert impact, but I do think that she can intimidate players from actually attacking the paint in the first place because of her presence. You mentioned Rebecca Allen. We know that she's a solid guard that can help with the depth there. Tarazi was awful last game, and they won anyway. Copper, we know, can score, but the Lynx are a good team. Like, that's a very solid win. Now, they were up early, then they let the Lynx come back, and then they had to win it in thrilling fashion. But I do think the Mercury are the better team right now, at least based on what I've seen over the last week or so. So I'm going to lean to the Mercury. If the Wings win it, would I be shocked? No, because they won the first meeting by 15. But I really just don't want to go near the Wings right now. Just watching them over the last week or so, we thought that it was a team that was going to struggle without their 2 of their 3 best players they have, but we thought they would get up to be a gatekeeper team. They'd lose to the good teams. They'd beat up on the bad teams, and they couldn't even do that right. So I kind of just want to stay away from the Wings. I have no confidence in that team right now, so I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Phoenix.
In the Wings' defense, we've been pretty spot on with them until last game. In their defense, we had them not covering against the Aces. We had them not covering against Minnesota. We had them covering and almost winning or potentially winning, and they only lost by 2 to Connecticut. Like, in their defense, that was a rough stretch of 3 games. It's just that Sparks loss is really, really, it's just really, really, it's hampering. It's very, very hampering in everything that we saw about this team, because why did you lose that game? There's no reason.
It's really about the second halves, because we've been talking about the Wings for a while, and they don't really guard anybody. And if you're not going to guard anybody, if you're not going to guard anybody, that's fine. If you're going to be able to outscore teams, but the problem is if you're going to shut down offensively late in games all the time, and you're still not guarding anybody, then I don't trust you. We thought the Sparks were just too bad offensively to capitalize on it, and unfortunately we were wrong. But 9 points in the fourth quarter against the Sparks, I think I'm good. I'll go with the Mercury.
Yeah, this season, Dallas Wings are 10th in the WNBA in second half scoring, tied with the Atlanta Dream, and last place is the Washington Mystics. Fourth place is the Phoenix Mercury in second half scoring. So there you go. If you like the Wings, I would take them in the first half.
Halftime,
If
full time.
you're Yeah, I think a halftime full time is a nice play as well. And if you're on the Mercury, even on the road is tough, but I just think that with the commissioners, this being a commissioners cup game, it's a little bit added motivation to get it going in the second half. So yeah, full game. I'm on Mercury laying 1.5 here. All right,
By the way, just to
164.
I was going to say, just to briefly mention it, Dallas to lead at halftime and Phoenix to win in regulation is 5-1.
Yeah, I like that. I would play that. I might play that. That's fun. All right, 164 is total.
I think I'm going to lean over. Give me first half over. I'll ignore the second half. Dallas can actually show up for 2 quarters offensively. First meeting had 190 points, or if not more. So I think I'm just going to have to go with the over, but give me first half over in this game.
I'm with you. If I were to play anything, it would be a first half over. But what's that number at? 83. I would play that.
First meeting landed 199, which is just insane. But by the way, for that first meeting, to briefly just mention the first half, actually wasn't that high scoring of a half. It went over anyway. They had 35 in the first quarter, which is not great. They had 52 in the second quarter, then 58 in the third. So 52 and 35, you did get over there. So it was close, but it went over the 83.5 number.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see here. We have player props. I don't even think we talked about player props in the first game, but
we didn't.
Player props. Anything you like here?
So I saw somebody questioning Griner's defense in game 1, which is honestly understandable because she has not played in a while. I think Collier should have a good game on the boards in the spot. Looking at the first meeting this season, Arike had 40 in this game, so we'll see if she can back it up. But that's the recent game that we're talking about. Sorry, I was going back. Well, actually, I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. Arike had 40 in the first meeting. Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean Collier. I got distracted because the Mercury played the Lynx last game, so I was looking at those props. So my bad. I do think for this matchup, though, if I had to go for any props at all, I would have to at least consider going for Copper again. She had 32 points in the first meeting. I think she's in line for a good game. Tarazi at 28 in the first meeting. The assists have still not been there for Diana, so maybe you're going to end up seeing her struggle facilitating again. But I do think that if you want to go for a fun play, I'll go back to Cloud. Give me Cloud assists again. She had 12 in the first meeting. Unfortunately, she only had 9 points, so she did not cash the double-double. But I think her assists are definitely worth consideration for some type of alt line, maybe even a ladder if you want to consider it. But we don't think that the Wings are going to win because of defense, because they don't guard anybody. So I think if we're going to go for Cloud, her assists are at 7.5, and it's plus 132, plus 134. She's had 10 plus assists in back-to-back games. She had 12 assists in the first meeting this season. If you want to go for 9.5 assists, plus 440. Yeah, give me the plus 440. Why would I not consider taking that? I'm assuming you co-sign that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm on Natasha Cloud. I had Natasha Cloud assists written down. I had her rebounds assists written down. I think that, double-double is definitely in the realm possibility. She could easily get to 10 plus assists or something like that. Just running the offense, playing alongside Brittany Griner. And I think is actually going to have a pretty solid of a game here in just another game back, able to go underneath the rim, maybe get to the foul line. Like, I think all of those are in possibility for her. I'm over here looking at Arike, and her points prop is, if I can, let's refresh first, 25.5. I will still play it just because the volume is going to be there. And especially knowing how good this Mercury team, like if this Mercury team gets scoring in the second half, Arike is going to have to try to keep up on her own. Like, she's going to put up as many shot attempts, whether they're most efficient ones possible. No, but those are the ones that she hits, the ones that aren't efficient that you would deem as a quote unquote not good shot. She hits those. And so if you're just going to keep on giving her those attempts, those chances, then I'm going to just keep on taking Arike. She has the opportunity to get there with the assist as well. So Enrique points play and Enrique points and assist play seems pretty interesting to me, and I would play something along those lines.
By the way, if you're looking up stats, these teams are allowing the most assists per game in the entire league. So
yeah,
just keep that in mind.
Might have to definitely get down 5.5 for Enrique on the assist. That is the line for her. All right. What else? What else? Anything else? I definitely think I like a Mercury team total over 82.5 here. I think that's
Makes
really
sense.
short. I think that's short, especially, the fact that they gave up 80, they gave up 80 to the Sparks twice this season at this point. So let's just go ahead and give them that. They gave up 80 to the Sparks twice. 95 to the Aces last time out, 87 to the Wings. They got over this number in the first game, even though they lost by 15. Only team the only team this season to not get over this number was, the Sky in the first game of the year. They still got to 79, and the Sun, who we know they're not trying their best to score out there. They're just gonna play really, really good defense. 74 is a reasonable Sun total. So yeah, I'm on the Mercury team total over in this one. I'm just going to go back and fade that Dallas defense. All right.
Well, also worth mentioning, even though it was a home game, they did score 81 against Minnesota. That's a really good defensive team.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Ooh, okay, next game on the slate. Well, before we get to the next game on the slate, got to talk to you about Rhythm. Look, make sure you tap into all of Rhythm's WNBA features. They have custom betting models for you. They have AI betting recommendations that just help you become a better WNBA better. So looking at Mystics and their play today is the over, Scott, the over 158.5 in the Mystics and Liberty game for Rhythm. 65.2% win probability. They have it at 159.5. They like that over. They expect to see point. And you know what? I can see it. If the Liberty just give up easy buckets to the Mystics, then it's going to happen. So,
and
I'm not mad at it.
Both meetings went at least 165. So you have historical precedent to go over with that matchup.
Shout out Rhythm for the over 158 in the Mystics and Liberty game. Like that play. All right. Make sure you go get your 7-day free trial at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Yeah, that's it. All right. Next game on the slate. Seattle Storm on the road going to play the Minnesota Lynx. Third time this season, these two teams played the first two games of the season where Minnesota won on the road and then won at home in a double overtime game. Line's currently sitting at laying 1.5 for the Lynx. Laying 1.5 for the Lynx at home. 159.5 is the total. Money coming in on Seattle after that win against the Aces. Minnesota dropping that game against the Mercury on the road back home. 2-0 for Seattle in Commissioner Cup play. 2-1 for Minnesota. Big game. Both of these two teams need this win. What are you doing?
Yeah, unrelated but related. We kind of have to play the sound drop every time they play. For this matchup, I think it's going to be an absolute war. I don't know how much stock I can actually put into the first two games of the season because you might remember the Storm started off the season relatively, I'd say, underwhelmingly. They were just not very good to start the year, and then they won like 7 in a row, and they beat the Aces, and NECA's healthy, and they look really good. So I don't know if I can actually put much stock in those first two games. I'll start there. Do you put much stock into those besides maybe some like mental confidence? But first two games of the season, like the Storm have clearly come into their own over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
So do you care much about those first two games or not really?
That's not stopping me from taking Minnesota here. So if you're, I don't have to put stock in it to say that I'm still going to take Minnesota. So no, it doesn't, because I think that the Storm are a different team, and they are a different team. I just think Minnesota is going to be able to go get this done on their home floor. This is a spot where defensively, I think Minnesota has the veteran lineup that and the presence of we're gonna blitz the ball. We're gonna make things tough on Skylar Diggins-Smith. We're not gonna let their offense set up, and then we're gonna force Jewel Lloyd and Nneka Ogwumike into some really, really tough shots. And so it's gonna be on them to make them. Like, it's gonna be on them to have a crazy, crazy efficient game to be able to beat us. But I really, really buying into this Minnesota defensive scheme. I think that this idea of, hey, we don't need the best players in the league, but we have an MVP candidate, and we have a lot of veterans that understand their role and play them well. When you talk about a Courtney Williams and a Tisha Heidemann coming off the bench, Alana Smith, who's been having a really good year, like, we have all those pieces that still make a really, really good roster, and we're just going to smother you defensively. And absolutely. And so I think Minnesota still has a chance here, honestly, truly.
Yeah, they're very good at home as well. I just thought it was worth mentioning, even though they are 2-0 in the head-to-head. I did think that it was a bit, I'd say, misleading, or maybe a bit of a red herring, because Seattle was bad to start the year. Then they won 6 straight. It just seems like Seattle's a bit different than they were earlier in the year. But I like the under in this game. You're looking at the first 2 meetings. They did go under this number in regulation. A second meeting ended up landing in the 190s because you had double overtime, but that was 156 in regulation. We're at 158.5. Seattle just held Vegas to 65 points. They held the Mercury to 62 points. Had a track meet against the Fever. That game was a blowout early, so they kind of stopped trying defensively. Gave up 68 against Chicago, 69 against the Mystics as well. So they've given up less than 70 points in 4 of their last 5 games. And the Lynx were bad defensively against Phoenix. That was on the road. Now they're back at home. I do think defensively both teams bring it in a very meaningful game, a playoff-type atmosphere between these teams. I like the under in this game.
Yeah, same here. I think that's probably the better play for me in this one, is taking the under. And kind of wish got it at a little bit higher of a number. I wish we were still in the 160s there, but I still think this is a very heavily defensive game, and I can see this ending, 74, 72, something like that. So I think that there's still room for the under to stay here. All right. Play props.
Well, you've been good with the Storm players or player props. I've kind of been taking a wait and see approach because they just have so many options that you have to pick the right one on a given day. You've had a good read on them. I've kind of been waiting it out.
Yeah, and I think the key here is really disruption on offense. It's just making sure that they just feel as uncomfortable as possible. Like, there was a few times in those 2 games where Courtney Williams was able to rip Skylar Diggins-Smith at half court. So I think that one play for sure is with the rebounding edge clearly going to Seattle here. I think that's, they have the rebounding edge here. Courtney Williams constantly finds her hands around basketball and rebounding. So 5.5 at even money actually sounds interesting for Courtney Williams. Let's look at the last few games for her. And I know she had 5 early in that Phoenix game. She ended up finishing with 6, cashing over. She had 6 against LA, 5 against Dallas. Go back to the Seattle Storm game. She had 5 and 6 in the 2 games that she played against them there. 7s, 4, 6, 6, 3. She's been over this number in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of her 9 games or 10 games already this season. Just one of the best rebounding guards in the league, and she constantly finds her way around the ball. So even money for Courtney Williams rebounds at 5.5, I think that's a pretty solid play. And that's a way that they try to counteract that rebounding battle by everybody just crashing glass and doing the best they can. So I like that. I do like, is Nneka still at 7.5? I think I'll still take Nneka at 7.5.
I think she is.
Yeah, I'll still take that. That's what she was at last game against the Sparks, and I was like, wow, 7.5. That's really short. But she had 9 and 11 in the 2 meetings prior. I think this is still a very good matchup for her. And like I said, I think the rebounding edge does actually go to Seattle, and so I think Seattle's going to be able to clash the grass, and it's going to be on the Lynx to just go ahead and try to hold them from that. So yeah. Nneka over 7.5 rebounds. I think that's a play. I think you should ladder that up to 10 as well. I think she could absolutely have a double-double in this game as well.
Yeah, so your play is actually going to correlate into a play that I'm tempted by, which is actually the under on Magbagor rebounds at 9.5. Now, she was incredible against the Aces. She had 15. I'm just going to start there. So maybe I'm fading a potentially inflated line because of one really good game. She's had less than 10 rebounds in 5 of the last 7. Historically speaking, though, she's been horrible at rebounding against the Lynx. She's had less than 10 rebounds in 4 straight against the Lynx. She has gone under this number in 5 of 6. In the double overtime game that we ended up talking about earlier in the season, she had 6 in double overtime in 42 minutes. So if she's going under in 4 straight head-to-head meetings, that tells me your number might be a bit inflated. So I do think that's definitely worth consideration. She also has had some foul issues. She's had at least 4 fouls in 5 of the last 6 games against the Lynx, at least 5 fouls in 3 of the last 6. So foul trouble can be a concern for her, which could correlate into the lack of rebounds. But I'm going to go with the head-to-head trend. I'll go with the under on Magbagor, 9.5 rebounds.
All right. I like it. Cool. Let's see here. Next game on the slate, we have... Oh, yeah, I think Collier has a good game. Jewel's going to get that sense, but it's just how I think they're going to play really, really tough defensively. I don't want to play too many offensive props in this game because I think that it's going to be a barn burner, slow pace, heavy defense. I'm expecting something like that. So
this
not
should
too many
definitely
offensive
have
props.
this should have a playoff atmosphere to it. It really should.
All right. Las Vegas Aces on the road going to play the Los Angeles Sparks. They opened up laying 13.5. The current laying 10.5, 160.5 is the total. That's dropped 4 points. Injury report here for these two teams. And I see here for the Aces, Chelsea Gray is out, not expected to play. Kirsten Bell not expected to play. Jackie Young is out as well. A little bit reason for the drop in spread and total there. Jackie Young with the illness. She's been sick since that Dallas game. Suited up the previous 2 games. Had a solid game against Dallas. Really good game against Dallas. And then absolutely nothing. I think she was 1 for 11 against Seattle. So she's not playing in this one. Azrae Stevens is still out for the Los Angeles Sparks. So now this Aces team is without 2 point guards in this game, and it's going to be a lot of ball handling for Kelsey Plum. Emma Cannon is probably going to get some run here and probably help try to handle some ball handling.
Let's see what Tiffany Hayes can do today.
Yeah, Tiffany Hayes as well, but I think she's gonna go after it. I think she's gonna.
She might. She's been fine for somebody who hasn't played in a while. She's been good the first 2 games. They were competitive in the first meeting, for the record. That game was somewhat close.
But without a point guard, like, it's Kelsey Plum. And then I really like who's gonna. So I remember saying when Jackie Young was projected, what was that? The game against Dallas, that she was projected out and then she ended up playing anyway.
I think it was Kate Martin who was originally.
Yeah, she was going to. Yeah, Kate Martin was originally. So I'm just going to assume Kate Martin is in the starting lineup here, which just says that Kelsey Plum is going to be handling ball handling. And then, Sydney Colson is probably going to get some run with that second unit as well. Like, you're going to see some Emma Cannon as well. 10.5 with. I mean, so this is the thing. The starters could absolutely run the score up. And then Tiffany Hayes coming off the bench could run the score up. Do I think they just do they step up defensively and not let the Sparks score?
I'm assuming the Sparks, by the way, are not eliminated because they ended up winning last game and nobody in the West.
No, they are technically not, but it's just an uphill battle with 2 losses.
Oh, they're not going to get it.
You're assuming,
yeah.
I think everybody's assuming 1 loss is going to be a winner here. Maybe, you still have Seattle who hasn't lost a game. So, but the 1 loss, once you get 2 losses, it's like effectively you kind of think you're out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a must-win game for the Aces, though, because if 2's going to take them out of it and they lost to Seattle, then it's a must-win game for the Aces.
Yeah, and I think they win. I'll lay it with the Aces, man. I'll lay the 10.5. I don't feel comfortable about it, but at the end of the day, I do think this Sparks team isn't that good, and even the players that they have, like there's so much room for offense this game when you talk about adding another 3-point shooter and Kate Martin to the starting lineup, and this might be a little bit easier because she's more of a spot up shooter. Like it's not Jackie going out there creating, and so it's going to be Plum Plum handling the ball, Asia handling the ball, and then it's going to be a lot of kick out passes. I think a lot of threes are going to go up from Plum, from Kate Martin. I think that's going to help offensively. And then at the end of the day, still got Asia Wilson, and I think she's going to have a good game. I'm gonna take the Aces, but I don't like it. I don't like this play. Don't bet this.
I think I'm going to agree with you. I still think there's a serious tier gap between these teams. Now, we like Seattle in the last game against the Aces. We just thought it was too many points. The Aces clearly are still overrated based on reputation. Big reason Chelsea Gray, who I think is their second best player, is still out. And we'll see how they look when she gets back. But I do think they're still much better than the Sparks. The Aces were up, I think, 19 early in the third quarter of that first meeting. And then they just took their foot off the gas and the Sparks came back. But I still don't think the Sparks can score. I think at the end of the day, I'm not going to suddenly think the Sparks team's decent because they beat the Wings. I still don't think this team's very good. I think that they are one of the worst teams in the league. They're not as bad as the Mystics. They're they're basically equal to the Fever as far as I'm concerned. I think they're kind of in the same boat as the Fever, and they're below the Sky. That's how I look at those teams. So I'm not going to take a bottom three team to really hang in there against the Aces. What you just said before, that 2 losses basically eliminates you, especially if you lose the tiebreaker to Seattle. You're going to have to basically win out from here. The Aces, if they are looking to get back to the Commissioner's Cup final for that paycheck, that's enough motivation. I know that they're flying, charter now, and, Davis might be given the money on the side because he's a good owner. But I do think they want the $500K. I think it's probably a nice thing to get. So I'll go with the Aces. The one thing I do remember from the first meeting was that defensively, the Aces were not very good. And I thought Asia Wilson, even though she had a decent stat line, was horrible efficiency-wise. I think she started the game like 1 for 8, and then she ended up like waking up in the third quarter, but she was really bad for a half. She might have had like 5 points at the half, and then she figured it out, but I think Asia's going to play better. She's been destroying teams over the last couple of weeks. I saw somebody ask before, I think it was CapQuest, who was asking if I thought anybody could, or if Anti could win the MVP over Asia. No. I think Asia's just winning MVP at this point. Like, if Asia stays healthy, she's winning. As far as I'm concerned, her numbers are crazy. I think Asia's going to be motivated after looking pretty underwhelming against this team the first time around. Give me some type of Asia 27-13 game. I think the Aces win by 14. Not a full blowout, but I think they cover.
Yeah, give me the Aces team total over. I think that's where I would play it. But I think that they're going to be able to score. Ultimately, I think they'll find ways to score, and it may be a different play. And we're getting a better number now that the total has dropped 4 points and spread has dropped as well. But ultimately, I think that the outside shots, and we're going to see how they're going to be able to contend with everybody else. I think everybody else is going to be where they get the step up from, and it's not going to be just like Asia, Kelsey Plum trying to score. Like we talked about Tiffany Hayes. I think Tiffany Hayes is going to have a great game here. I don't think they have anybody that can actually guard her, so she's going to be able to get to her spot. I think that Kate Martin, if she gets going from 3, that's going to add a whole nother element in this game, and it's going to open people up to, hey, Kate Martin might be really, really something. They've been giving her some solid minutes to this, so I think that she may even open things up. Like I think I'm selling myself on the Aces just being able to score. And so, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to get from the Sparks. I really don't know what I'm going to get from the Aces either. That's why I just think this game is just a toss-up. Like, this is really more of a feel out here. I'm just kind of, if I had to pit back one of these two teams to have a better game, of course, I'm going to take the Aces. But I just don't like this one. I don't like this one. But give me that team total over for the Aces. I do think they'll score. And if anything, this goes over.
Yeah, a reminder about the first meeting this season. The Aces did go under their team total. They had 89, but they had 89 points despite scoring just a grand total of 16 in the first quarter and 18 in the fourth quarter. So they had 34 points in 2 quarters, and they still ended up with 89. So I do like the team total over in this game.
All right. Let's see here. Player props. Kelsey Plum assists. I was gonna play it last time. I didn't get to it. It's at 6.5 at plus money. I
I think
think
I'm
you
going to
gotta
merge
take
the
that.
points in there. I'll go with the PA instead. Plum's going to have to step up without Jackie. So I think the ball's going to be in her hands a lot. Give me the points and assists in this game.
All right, yeah, points and assists. I'm on the assists. Dearica Hamby, I think you still gotta play.
It's a
Then
revenge game.
Jangle, she played, yeah, she played so good last time. Like, but
Mm-hmm.
there could be, them adjusting and trying to figure out, hey, how are we gonna adjust to not let her have that amazing game that she had last time. But I like that. I think Asia got to go over on the points, uh, as well. Anything else here that really catches my eye? No, not for me.
I
Don't
think I'll go
have
back.
any Kate Martin
Yeah.
numbers, but if I did, I probably would play them.
I think I'll go back to Brink unders. She was good against the Wings. Apparently, she just owns the Wings. She had 10 and 10 in the last game, so she's done very
Yeah.
well. But besides the Wings games, she's gone under her 14.5 points and rebounds. If you ignore the Dallas games, in 7 of the last 8, and she's had a less than 14 in 4 of the last 5. Each of the last 4 if you're ignoring Dallas. So first meet against the Aces, she had 8 rebounds, 3 points. I think she's going to be focusing all her energy on trying to stop Asia. I like Brink under points and rebounds at 14.5.
All right. Let's get into underdog lineup, and we can get out of here. Let's see here. Former lock. What
We're
is
taking the
the
Mystics, right?
best? No, I don't think so, actually.
Really? That surprised me.
I'm looking for the best number I can get, and I can get 159.5. So I'm going to take the under in Seattle and Minnesota. I think this is a heavy, heavy defensive game. And both of these two teams, one of the top defenses. I talked about that Seattle defense last time out against the Aces, and the Aces team total under came through. Wish I had made it my lock, but talked myself out of it with the Wings. It's all good. I'm back in Seattle here again today. Another really good defensive game against a team that you did not. A team that you did not beat in the first 2 games of the season. I think it's added motivation there for them. And you talked about it. They went under in regulation the first 2 games. The second game just had double overtime. So, of course, they're going over at that point if they didn't go over after the first overtime. And I don't think they did, actually. But the second overtime was just way too much. So, under 159.5 for the Seattle Storm and the Minnesota Lynx today. That is my lock. Looking to get back on the stride. For my dog, I am going to outline the Mercury.
Okay. That was not what I was expecting you to say, but I like it.
Dallas is just the second half, and I just think it's added motivation. And plus, I talked about this for a minute in the beginning of the season. I thought that this Mercury team was going to be better, and now they're fully healthy. So, like, what am I waiting on? There's no reason to wait here. And I didn't wait last time. I told you that if Griner played, I liked the Mercury, and they went out there and won. And so I'm gonna just continue to back the Mercury with fully healthy in the lineup. And we'll see. This is a road game, but it's a Commissioner's Cup game. So maybe it's a little bit more added motivation for them to end their road struggles, which I know they know about. So I'm expecting a good road win here by the Mercury. I will take them laying 5. Because when I took that Phoenix -5 for my lock, it hit. So I will take them laying 5. Get over double digits, 6 or more, plus 170.
All right. So for my lock, I did think about Washington first half, but I'm not going to do it. I think if I was going to go for a lock, I actually am going to go with a player prop. I am going to go with the fate of Brink in this one. I'm going to go with the under 14.5 points and rebounds at -132. At the end of the day, she had 11 in the first meeting. She only had 3 points in that game. Asia was horrible, but she was so good defensively in that game. I'm talking about Brink. She had 5 blocks and 1 steal and 4 fouls. I do think at the end of the day, Brink might be in foul trouble in this game. She's going to have to be getting guarding Asia, or at least she's going to be trying to help out with Asia. You might remember that there was a questionable jump ball call at the end, which might have been a foul on Brink. So she might have had 5 fouls in that game. Foul trouble be a concern. people get so distracted, though, by Asia offensively that they forget that she's a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year winner. She's a great defensive player, too. So if I'm not sold on Brink's jump shooting, and I know that Asia's very solid at actually protecting the paint, I do question how Brink's going to score in this game. And I think that her rebounds, even though she had 8 in the first game, the Aces had a couple of really ugly quarters. I just see Brink having a serious problem in this matchup. So I'm going to go with Brink under, which has done pretty well. If you ignore the Wings game, she's gone under in almost every game this season. So the Wings might just be her, the team that she gets up for whatever reason. But I'll go with the under on Brink, points and rebounds, 14.5 at -132 as my lock. For my dog, I think I am going to swing for the fences here because it's fun. If you want to go for 8+ assists, you can still get that at like +132. But I mentioned it before. Give me Natasha. Give me Cloud over 9.5 assists at +440. I think 440 is a great price. I just can't ignore that. I think at the end of the day, if you're looking for what should be a solid opportunity, Cloud had 12 assists in the first meeting. We mentioned before that the Wings and the Mercury are allowing the most assists per game in the league. They're both bottom 2 or top 2, however you look at it. She's had at least 10 assists in 2 of the last 3 games. Once again, if you're picking the Mercury to score like 85, 90 points, you have the team total. They scored 92 in the first meeting, and they lost the game by 15. So 9.5 assists at +440 when she had 12 in the first meeting and 10 in 2 of the last 3. In general, hell yeah. Give me the over 9.5 assists for Cloud at +440 is my dog.
Ooh, wee. Huge dog. Okay, 10+ assists, +440.
Isn't that mispriced, though, just based on our recent numbers? Like, that should be somewhere in my opinion, 3-to-1 range. I think 440 is massive.
Yeah, no, I like it. All right, and that was 14.5 for Brink, right?
Yeah, 14.5 at, I believe, -132.
All right, there we go. We are locked in. All right, Underdog Fantasy. Let's see here. How can we get to the money today? Well, I agree with both of your plays, so we can throw them in there if you would like.
Well, Cloud might be at a flat 7 if you want to go for assists, because 7.5 I saw was plus money at book, so maybe they'll give you 7.
1.1x spicy
For
for
7.5.
Natasha Cloud for 7.5 higher.
You want to take it?
Yep.
You like the
100%
Mercury
already
anyway.
put it in.
So,
Yeah, I already added it in, so we don't have to worry about that. I do like NECA higher 7.5 rebounds. I think that line is too short. She's been over in the first 2 games. Can play that. And then for the third play, we can go with Brink. They have 13.5 points in rebounds, or they have 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
I don't have her assist numbers in front of me. So she had 0 in the first meeting. Sorry, just give me like 1 second to look up assist numbers. But she's averaging 2 per game this season. She's had a less than 3 in basically every game. Yeah, we could throw in the assists. Why not?
Okay. Brink lower, 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So add that all together. You have Natasha Cloud higher, 7.5 assists. NECA Gumake higher, 7.5 rebounds. And Cameron Brink lower, 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That's going to be 6.6x spicy. So a $25 entry will win you $82.5. A $50 entry will win you $165, so on and so forth. Make sure you use that promo code NBA SGPN for all our new listeners, everybody here. Make sure you use that promo code NBA SGPN. It'll get you a special pick that you can also add to your lineup, increase your cash, and then you can also get that $250 bonus deposit when you deposit with underdogfantasy.com, promo code NBA SGPN. All right. Let's see here. Scott, anything else for people before we get up out of here?
No, looking forward to game 2 of the finals today. I'm going to go watch some French Open tennis. So keep them busy. Yeah, let's make some money today.
Real quick, Adam said, how do you feel about McCowan going under 11.5 points? I think it can happen, but again, the bigs, it's going to be an issue I think that's the issue. And that's probably where they play. If they play the Mercury, you got to play through the bigs and try to create something under the paint. The Mercury have been better in defending points in the paint recently, but 6'7" is 6'7". Like at the end of the day, 6'7" is really hard to guard. And we'll see how Brenton Griner is able to handle it this game. So
I gave up on McCown, so I'm going elsewhere at this point.
All right. I have nothing else. Make sure that you like the video before you go. I saw that we had a huge jump in the live viewers. Make sure you like the video before you go out. If you're watching this afterwards, please like the video, drop a comment, and also make sure you give us a 5-star rating review wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple. It doesn't matter. Other than that, I have nothing else to say, nothing else to do. No other way of ending the podcast. Just gonna end it like this. We are out of here.